If this is the same fucker as last night, I will fucking die. Wait, what the fuck? They're actually in the Red Sea? They're in the Shores of Gold. This fucker is in the Shores of Gold right now. If you played the new PvP at the beginning of Season 8, then at some point this insidious tactic was used against you, where some fucker was queued for PvP in the Shores of Gold, allowing unsuspecting victims to invade them and put them in an unwinnable situation where they could not reach their opponent. They would then either wait the sucker out while watching a movie on the side, or they would hope that the motherfucker stumbled into the Red Sea without realizing what was happening and sink themselves. This cunt got fucking 4 wins by doing this shit. Okay, well, I'm out of the Red Sea, but now I'm fucking leaving the battlegrounds. Wow, this guy fucking sucks ass. What a piece of shit. Initially, this started out as 1 or 2 people, but eventually, every day you would find some motherfucker doing this, as it became a more commonly used tactic as people figured out that they could abuse it. I tried reporting these people, and I made public videos shaming these spineless subhuman little shits, but unfortunately, Rare refused to ban them. I reported Hoxton88 for doing this, and the ticket was open for 11 days. With them only saying, "Our security team is looking into this. It's being investigated internally." Normally, when they actually ban a player, they'll say the player has been banned. So, it seems like they aren't banning the player, despite acknowledging that use of this exploit should be bannable. I actually am the 3rd person to run into another user, Midifile, who is using this exploit. And when I say the 3rd person, I mean the 3rd person that I personally know. I reported him, Mr. Moonboots Koyoki reported him, and our mutual friend, whose name escapes me, reported him because we ran into him using the exploit. By the way, we can confirm that the reason he uses the exploit is because he sucks ass at PvP, and cut it actually playing the fucking game. The annoying thing is I got 3 wins before this, so... Oh, and I hit the wall just now. If Sea of Thieves isn't actually banning these players, it really raises the question as to what incentive there is for other people who are the victims of these exploits to not just start using them themselves, since the people who use them aren't facing any consequences for it, and you don't get any prizes and you don't get anywhere trying to play honestly, if Sea of Thieves doesn't feel like enacting consequences on these players. However, courtesy of Mr. Moonboots Koyoki, I can tell you that there was a way to beat the Shores of Gold exploit. All you had to do was sail straight towards the Shores of Gold, bucketing furiously, and not allowing yourself to be hit by any cannon shots by the guy who was sitting out there getting reputation for free. Eventually, you would black screen, your boat would teleport to another random island, and you would be freed from the boundaries of that arena. No longer trapped in a hostage situation with your opponent. You would have to regather your supplies, and you would have to sail manually to Morrow's Peak Outpost to put down the tall tale. For Shores of Gold, you could not use a checkpoint. And then you could go fight your attacker, who, if they were using this strat, was probably very, very bad. And you could probably kill them as long as you had gathered enough supplies after having black screened. Your opponent would still be trapped in the original boundaries of the arena, but you would not be. And they might not even suspect that you'd be coming, unless they had been watching their screen and not, watching a movie while they gathered allegiance or something. I was skeptical that this worked, but I tried it with Moonboots and our mutual friend, and it worked for me. The only reason why the bastard got away was because Midifile knew about the counter exploit already, since our friend had already done it on him. So he did it himself to escape the arena, and then just ran away from me across the entire adventure map as I tried to chase him, eventually giving up and portal hopping to a different server, which apparently still left me in this bugged state where I was still considered in a match and couldn't lower my hourglass, but there was no opponent left there on the map for me. Really wacky stuff. Either way, I was over the moon, no pun intended, to learn that there was a way to fight back against these assholes. So I, naively and smugly, posted a long thread on the lovely Sea of Thieves subreddit, detailing exactly how to fight back against people who use this exploit to unfairly get an advantage on other players in PvP. And do you know what the lovely, intelligent mods of the Sea of Thieves subreddit decided to do? The dipshits fucking banned the post. They removed my well-put-together post under the pretense that I was discussing a hack because they were more concerned with not letting people spread knowledge that the exploit existed than they were with informing people about how to fight back against it. To remind you, this was at a time where it was already the case that every time you queued for PvP, every 5th match, you would get one of these motherfuckers doing the exploit. So their whole idea of making sure no one knew about the exploit in the first place already wasn't fucking working. But apparently these fucking idiots didn't think it was a good idea to let people through the community tell others how to fight back against it and not let the exploiters win. But in the meanwhile, instead of fighting back against it, we're just gonna try to make sure no one knows about it and shove it under the rug or something. To summarize the situation nicely, you had Rareware pushing an update to the game that had a glaring flaw in it that they didn't catch right away, that allowed players to exploit others when doing PvP and put them in unwinnable situations. You had Sea of Thieves support refusing to quickly and efficiently ban the people using the exploit so that there's no incentive for them to stop. And then you have the Sea of Thieves subreddit, where discussing ways to prevent yourself from being the victim of one of these exploiters was not allowed and would get you banned from the Sea of Thieves subreddit for discussing the fact that you were getting shafted and how other people could avoid getting shafted. It's so ridiculous that if it were to come out that the subreddit mods didn't want you discussing the exploit because they were personally trying to milk allegiance using the exploit as long as possible before Rare patched it and they didn't want people to know how to do the workaround, I would believe it. Because their excuse for not letting you talk about how to avoid getting trapped in the Red Sea by an exploiter was just hilariously fucking stupid. Well, Zaylor, don't you see that by telling people to black screen, that you're actually telling them to use an exploit themselves to counter the other person's exploit? Don't you see how that makes you the bad guy and now you're encouraging exploiting? Are you serious? Go fuck yourself. How mind-numbingly fucking stupid. The moderators of the Sea of Thieves subreddit want to tell members of the community who find themselves on the victim's end of this exploit to just sink themselves and move on because there's no way to fight back against it. I want to tell members of the community this is how you fight back against it and actually turn it into a proper PvP match. Here is how you escape the unwinnable scenario that the abuser has put you into. And here's how you report that player so that Sea of Thieves will then ignore your report. The mods of the Sea of Thieves subreddit think that I'm part of the problem by telling you this information because it might encourage some people to take the information I'm giving them to do the exploit for evil, to use the exploit in the first place. Whereas I say, let both the victim and the abuser have access to the same information so that everyone knows what to do in this situation rather than just hoping no one will find out about it because that plan has already failed. I think the idea that these mods have that they're going to just hide the fact that the exploit exists in the first place when the cat's already out of the bag is fucking stupid. And I think they're fucking stupid for enacting policy in this way and thinking that they're helping the problem at all. The mods on the Sea of Thieves subreddit suck for other reasons too. I mean, I've made videos of people in the game screaming at me while me just being chill, and them like yelling at me, accusing me of cheating when I'm sinking them. And then I make a video post about it because I think it's funny, and they took down the post because I was witch hunting the people who were screaming at me, so I was the bad guy. Really fucking stupid shit. Despite the fact that there are like top posts of all time on the subreddit of that exact same type of content that they didn't take down. Also, I very highly suspect I've seen posts that get downvoted that are just like bug reports or random stuff. And I'm like, there's no way that regular users just downvoted it this much. There are no negative comments. I know, but I can't prove that the Sea of Thieves mods find ways to artificially downvote posts they don't want to be on the top of their subreddit. But I can't prove that, and that would be against Reddit TOS, I think. But I can't prove it. But I've seen enough posts like that where I'm going, yeah, they definitely do that. And I'm not alone in thinking that. Sorry that this video came out a week later than I wanted it to. I had COVID and literally didn't have the voice with which to do this video. Much less the will. I was sleeping most of the weekend. My first time, by the way. Real fun.